Hello and welcome to a special episode of Q It Up with the Q Brothers. I'm John Quattrucci.
I'm Ralph Quattrucci. This is us in a new box, whatever.
So we're going to try something a little different. So here's how this came about. I was going to do a solo review of the new Wonder Woman movie because I know Ralph's not a huge fan of the genre like I am. But I spoke to him first because I didn't want to just do it without talking to my
Well, let's be honest. You did the review and you screwed up the audio.
No.
Right?
I didn't screw up the audio.
Well,
no.
The camera screwed up the audio. Oh.
It just didn't, the audio wasn't as good as it should have been, but that's not why.
Okay.
I was going to do that in case Ralph didn't want to do it.
Oh.
So anyway.
That was a backup plan.
That's right. So what we normally do is we talk about genres, or we talk about last week how movies affected us sexually. Oh, no, that was Ralph. That wasn't me. So what I want to do is, I think we can do more of these with current movies, just do a review of the movie. And I really wanted to do a review of this movie for a couple of reasons. One, I was really looking forward to it because the first Wonder Woman movie I really liked. I thought it was really well done. I thought Patty Jenkins did a great job. It had some great action scenes in it, and I thought Gal Gadot was incredible. Also, just to level set here, I'm a child of the 70s, a little younger than my brother Ralph, and Wonder Woman, the TV show, started in 1975, and that was the first time I looked at a woman with Linda Carter. I absolutely loved Linda Carter, and she will always be Wonder Woman to me. And there are going to be spoilers on this review, so if you have not seen the movie, do not watch this, because we're going to give away a lot, including there's a cameo by Linda Carter that just melted my heart. But so before I get into what I think of Wonder Woman 1984, and again, this was done very differently. It was released in the theaters, but because of COVID, obviously not a lot of people were going to the theaters. Now, internationally, the theaters are open, and it opened internationally and did not do well.
Surprise.
So that kind of didn't bode well anyway. So it's one of the first huge blockbusters that was streaming on HBO Max, and it was there Christmas Day. That's when I watched it. Really looking forward to it. So the first question, Ralph, I had my brother watch it. He was a little hesitant at first, but I said, watch it and then we can talk about it. So tell me, give me your review, and we'll give at the end, we'll give we don't do thumbs up and thumbs down. We're going to do Q it up or Q it down. Okay, that's going to be our rating system.
Practically a thumbs up, thumbs down, but that's good. I like it. It stays in the brand.
Yeah, they're going to figure it out pretty quickly.
Should we show the trailer first?
No. I think what we'll do is, normally we show the trailer. I think we can show the trailer as we discuss this, so you can see bits and pieces of it as we go along. So,
okay.
So Ralph, what do you think about this movie? Because I have very, very strong feelings about it.
I honestly thought it sucked. Now, I went and saw it.
Ralph, please don't mince with words. What do you really think?
I thought it really sucked. Now, I went to Maria's house to watch it with her because she, as you are, was a big Wonder Woman fan. I thought she even wears a Wonder Woman bracelet now and again. So I thought, okay, this woman loves Wonder Woman. Well, it turns out she loves the Linda Carter version of Wonder Woman. She never even had seen the first Wonder Woman that came out.
Didn't?
No,
did
which
you?
Surprised me. I did. I also saw her in Justice League too, right? I mean, she was in Justice League as well. She had a little bit part. So I went over there. Within 10 minutes, she's like, okay, we can't. I said, I have to. I'm doing this review. I have to watch the whole thing. It was painful. And it was painful, because I just thought it didn't make any sense to me. First of all, why she was dropped in 1984. Was that just a shtick to do the 80s? Number one. Two, they start off with that scene at the beginning on the eye. What's the name of the island? Themyscira. Yeah. And they do that whole Olympic, trial run thing, whatever.
The 15-minute scene whose message was, don't cheat.
Don't cheat. Now, everybody who talks about the reviews of this film says that is the best scene in the whole movie. They like that the best. Now, I also heard that Warner Brothers wanted her to drop that scene and start right away with the mall in 1984, which I personally think they should have done, because that scene, although musically was great, Hans Zimmer's score was great, you could tell it was CGI, so you get that whole thing going. I didn't think it was all that, basically the whole movie to me just felt like, what are they trying to do? Now, I have a couple questions. She wrote this. The director wrote this one.
Yeah.
With, I think, an ex-DC comic guy.
Jeff Johns.
Who helped in this, right? Different people wrote the first one, right?
4 men wrote the first one.
Okay. Because when you think about Wonder Woman, it is really about how hot she is and her running around in her, costume. But what she did in this is she turned it into like anti-man. I don't know. I can't quite figure out what she was going for. First of all, they had the little kid that was throughout the whole film. What was that kid's name? They said it about 8,000 times.
I know, and I can't think
Antonio
of his name
or Anthony. No, it was. We'll figure it out by the end.
Yeah.
Okay, but he said it 8 zillion times.
Yeah.
The bad guy who was played by
Pedro Pascal, who's the Mandalorian, which is awesome.
Right. Okay. So, and they have guys. Now, this takes place in Washington, D.C., which is where I live. Right. Okay. So there's many scenes in Washington, D.C., and they kept showing this one businessman who is sitting on a park bench, just randomly, hitting on women and attacking them in parks. And he keeps popping up a couple different places. And any guy that walks by, any woman in this thing is whistling and hooting. And I guess that's what the writer thought that was happening in 1984. I don't know what the hell was going on. So I just felt like the movie was overwritten, underdeveloped. Like there's only 2 big fight scenes. I think it's that thing that happens in the mall. Then there's an hour and a half of rom-com stuff going on, and you're learning about the bad guy. And Kristen Wiig is doing a great Kristen Wiig impression. Right. She just does the same thing.
No one likes me here.
Same thing every time.
I know.
And they bring Steve Trevor back. Like all of a sudden, the whole idea is this wishing stone that if you make a wish.
Well, that's the MacGuffin in the movie.
The MacGuffin in the movie is the wishing stone.
It's called the Dream Stone.
Okay, except it isn't a MacGuffin because it's causing things to happen in the film. Like she wishes Steve Trevor to come back, and he comes back in another dude's body.
It's Quantum Leap.
Okay, but it's also weird, and it's also if they flipped it and it was a guy doing what she did, there'd be outrage.
Okay,
so I'm bouncing because I can't quite. I just think it was poorly written, poorly executed. I don't understand certain things. Like I drop in 1984, and I'm watching the scene, and I'm wondering why she's taking the thing off her head and knocking out all the security cameras. It's because she's not supposed to be seen. Can you explain to me?
That's right. Yeah,
okay.
Because in Justice League, they set the canon that she had kind of been hiding since Steve Trevor died. So she wasn't really out there. So this movie was trying to play to that, even though they really didn't. I mean, she's running around in red, white, and blue, and in the middle of a mall and during the day. So it didn't really work. But the throwing it was from the TV series. That's what Linda Carter used to do with her tiara. So that was a tribute to that.
Right.
But you're right. I mean, that's why she was doing it. And it really didn't work with what they had established in the Justice League. So that was kind of silly.
But I didn't. I mean, you just drop in and she's winking at little girls that are in there, and she's holding dudes up by the leg, and it's supposed to be fun and funny, and it looks CGI like I can't believe. Now that mall, I've been to that mall in Virginia. I think it was Landmark Mall back in the day. Yeah. So I recognized a lot of the stuff going on in there. And then they set up the whole thing gets set up because somebody used a jewelry store in this mall as a pawn shop or as a fence for this.
As a fence for artifacts.
I can't articulate how bad the movie was. I think you're going to have to take over because there's just I'll have questions as we go on because I'm not a big Wonder Woman fan, both normally and in the DC universe. So I don't really know what the hell I was seeing, except there's some things I have to say about when they. Okay, go ahead. Because there's invisible planes that fly through the 4th of July, all kinds of weird.
That's comic book canon. Now the only
I know the invisible plane. She flies an invisible plane, but
she's also the pilot. So why was he flying the plane?
Okay, well because Steve Trevor. I mean, he's a pilot, right?
So let's back up. So I want to give a little breakdown of the story, and I agree with you. This was an incredibly poorly written script. It was an awful script. The first one was, in my opinion. Look, DC doesn't do movies well. They do TV great. The TV series under the DCU is amazing. Marvel kills on the movies. DC does not. Wonder Woman, I think, was the best DC movie that has been out. I thought it was really well done. I love
the first Wonder Woman. The first one.
The first Wonder Woman. The World War I setting was excellent. It really worked. I think Chris Pine was great in it. and Gal Gadot was excellent. And I'm a big fan of hers, although I think her acting range is limited. Yeah. But I think she is great.
She looks great
as the role. Yeah, right. She does. And she's gorgeous, and she is an amazing. She strikes an amazing figure.
Very leggy.
Yeah, she is very leggy. But the whole point of so the movie is about this artifact that's found that's called the Dream Stone, that you make a wish. It's like the monkey's paw. You make a wish, you get your wish, but something bad's going to happen. So that's the MacGuffin. That's how the whole thing starts. And Maxwell Lord, played by Pedro Pascal. So look, when I first read about this movie, I read a lot of things that this was going to be a bash Donald Trump movie. And I didn't want to see that because everything's bashing Trump, TV, movies. I didn't want to see that in this because they didn't do anything like that in the first one. And to be fair to the movie, there was a little bit of it, but it really wasn't like what I thought it was going to be.
No, they were trashing. I felt like what they were trashing was crass commercialism.
Well, unbridled capitalism.
Unbridled capitalism. Yeah. Right.
The Trump thing was the hair. And the whole thing about the wall.
Well, also, he was also a television guy who was right.
But that was it. I don't think it was like, the way what I had read made it sound like, because Patty Jenkins even said it, that it was all about him, and it really wasn't. So I want to be fair. It wasn't like that. But he was also way over the top, cartoony. Mm-hmm. His motivations were silly. Like he went from wanting to corner the oil market to having nukes and being president and wiping out the world. That in the span of the movie, that's where he went. So the stone
until the end when his kid
he had
what's that damn kid's name? We got to figure that out. No comeuppance, and he just saw the light because Wonder Woman had the rope around his leg and made this plea to him. It was just ridiculous. So no big fight at the end. It was a speech.
That's right. It was a speech. That whole scene at the end didn't make any sense. But anyhow, so his wish is he wants to be the stone, which if everyone knows like Aladdin, you can't wish for more wishes, but they didn't care. So all the rules that applied to the wishing went away about a third into the movie. So there were no rules for the wishing. You could do anything you want.
Right.
So that's how it starts. And then Kristen Wiig's character, who I actually liked, but she plays this mousy character that nobody notices, and then she makes a wish to be more like Diana, which means she gets some of Wonder Woman's powers. And through the course of the movie, she gets stronger. That's when the businessman in the shirt, the tie, and the overcoat decides he's going to attack this woman on the street. Not once, but twice.
Ridiculous.
Okay? Twice, right. Just out of the blue. So this way she can beat the crap out of him with her newfound powers. Now, I liked her in this for when she played the mousy part because she was kind of funny. But Kristen Wiig, who I think is an attractive woman, but she's not, at one point she's supposed to be super sexy and everyone's supposed to notice her. It didn't work. And I'll give you, for me, if you look at Batman Returns with Michelle Pfeiffer, same exact part. And she was much better suited than Kristen Wiig was.
Right.
And but also the big reveal that she becomes Cheetah for some unknown reason, that didn't work because that was completely CGI. Now, Ralph, you said there was CGI in the mall. There wasn't a lot of CGI. They did a lot of practical effects. I saw the making of it, and they did a lot of practical stuff, and they were really proud of it. It was just a stupid scene.
Well, I heard she got rid of Zack Snyder's effects crew and went with her own crew, too.
Which you could see the difference. In the first one, the fight scenes were much better.
And that scene in the desert where he and Chris Pine are in the tank and she's running, and that weird running thing they do where she's gliding running thing.
With the CGI background.
Right.
That was pretty
it's just like it. Yeah.
Well, like you said, they should have got rid of that first scene. They couldn't because there were only 3 action scenes in the whole movie.
I know that.
Excluding that one.
Right.
So if they got rid of that, first of all, Wonder Woman was hardly in the movie.
Right.
It was Diana Prince and Steve Trevor, right? So that was the first mistake. And I thought that was a big mistake. But as the story went on, first of all, you brought up the way they brought Trevor back. Look, I love Chris Pine. I think he's very good in both these movies. He is a highlight of this movie, but the way he was used was awful. So the essence of Steve Trevor goes into some stranger, right? So he takes over the body of a stranger.
And he's listed as handsome man, right?
Right. When he looks in the mirror, he sees the guy.
But he had been that guy for a while.
That's right. Well,
he had been in that apartment for a while, and he's walking around DC like he had never seen any of that. He was okay.
And here's a little FYI: the guy they picked They picked him because he looked a little like Lyle Wagner from the TV series.
I also heard he's in a lot of Hallmark Hall of Fame Christmas films, that guy.
Oh, well,
particularly with the scarf in the snow type deal.
I met a male.
He looked a little like Paxton, Bill Paxton. He looked like a young Bill Paxton. Anyway, but that whole like thing, he comes back and it's cute. The 80s, he's wearing the parachute pants. It's in the trailer.
Well, that was a throwback to the first movie when she was trying on the clothes.
Okay.
It was the exact same scene.
And he ends with the fanny pack. Ha ha ha. It's good. But they don't explain like what happened to that guy while those two are, the first thing they do is have sex as soon as he pops up, or it doesn't work. Pops up.
Because first of all, Diana, Wonder Woman is supposed to be a moral person.
Wow.
So she's using this guy.
Yeah, it's a vessel.
Now, you brought it up. If roles were reversed and the essence of this woman went in another woman, and a guy did that, all you'd be hearing about is
hell would break loose.
No consent. Consent.
In
this movie, it was just, hey, whatever.
Well, not only that, what happened to that guy when Trevor, spoiler alert, Trevor, you knew this was going to happen, the whole monkey's paw thing, and you knew he was going to go away.
Well,
so what happens to that guy when that happens? It's like that movie Source Code, right? Where Jake Gyllenhaal at the end of that film goes into that guy's body. What happens to that dude? That dude's gone.
No, that dude showed up at the end when she was.
I know, but
okay.
Do you think
so they had a little connection there. Look, I didn't like it.
It's awful. And Steve Trevor just okay, we have to do this
because when she
I know when she reneges her wish.
So the essence went away, and the other guy was there, but they didn't show it because it was behind a post.
Okay, let's talk about Trevor for a second. They do that whole scene at the Smithsonian. I've been at the Air and Space Museum. Yeah. Okay, I've never looked out the back of the Air and Space Museum and seen military jets in the back of the Air and Space Museum. Okay, number one. First of all, and there's no tower at the Air and Space Museum where a plane can take off and they can start tracking his plane. Then they do that whole thing where she turns that plane invisible, because we know in Wonder Woman she flies an invisible plane. Jet. So now all of a sudden we have this exposition where she says, Zeus taught me to make things invisible. Right. I should try that. Okay.
Yeah, she was a coffee
cup, and he turns and okay, that's funny. And then it's that Superman Lois Lane flying through the clouds.
That's exactly what it was.
Okay.
And it went on way too long.
All of a sudden it's 4th of July and we're flying through fireworks in Washington, D.C.
And it just went on forever.
It's ridiculous.
And it was, and then when they came back to Washington, D.C. from Cairo, it was like
quickly,
instantaneous.
Right.
So it's like, that didn't make any sense.
They literally hang up the phone and Diana's walking through the door in the next cut.
Meeting Kristen Wiig's character, right? Hey, how'd you get back? Well, we have an invisible jet that's faster than any other jet in the history of the world.
And I didn't know also that Wonder Woman could fly.
She can.
Without a plane.
Yeah, she can.
She in the comics, ropes her lasso in the wind or something?
Well, no. That's how she originally flew in the movie, but her character can fly like Superman. Because she's a goddess, that's why.
The way they made it look, it's like she's free of her man. Now Steve Trevor's not there anymore, and now she can fly. Because I don't need a man. I don't need a man.
Here's the reason why I think you're right. Because right after Steve Trevor goes away, that scene goes on forever. So she's free of the bonds of the male. And I'm like, you know what? Listen, I get it that a lot of these movies are Captain Marvel did it. A lot of these movies are doing this where it's even the Avengers did it. They had that one scene in the last movie where all the women were lined up running towards the camera. And it's all about women empowerment, that one scene.
Right.
And I get the last 3 Star Wars movie killed Star Wars because of that.
Well, they did it in The Boys too. The Boys, that movie, that show, the women, all 3 women were the ones kicking the crap out of the Nazis.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, nothing.
If
as
the
long
writing
as
is good and it's a good story.
This is like pounding you in the face with it. And they started with his name is Alistair, by the way, which you're going to hear that name.
Alistair Sim. Oh my God.
Alistair.
And he kept saying it, Alistair.
And that's Chekhov's gun. To me, that was like, I turned to Maria and I go, okay, that kid is going to figure in this thing somehow, because they kept shoving it in our face that this guy's a sensitive daddy, the bad guy. No, we never see, except they say, well, the mother's off on a date. We're going to babysit your kid.
But they broke their own rules because you only get one wish, and he made 2 wishes. His second wish was to get his father back. So the kid, they kept breaking the rules.
What was the first wish the kid made?
I can't remember what it was. They were sitting on the couch and he said something. I wish something. Okay. I can't remember. Well, what it was.
Anyway,
but he made 2 wishes. But that it was stupid. It was stupid.
So after everything that happens in the film, like you said, the world almost blew up because Reagan handed him all the nukes and gave him all the power.
Well, that was the other thing. The president of the United States gets a wish, and his wish is he wants more nukes. He doesn't want to end the war.
Well, he was doing that. The world. But that's all the. If it's all showing strength. If we show strength and they show strength, nobody's going to do anything. That was a legit strategy that those guys were making.
I wish no one had nukes.
Something bad with monkey's paw. Who knows what happened?
It was stupid. It was dumb. And then finally, the conclusion was idiotic. So again, the rule is you have to touch the person who makes the wish, so you can grant it. Well. Now, like in 5 seconds, they have a satellite that puts out particles, and the particles touch you. So now you can talk to the world. Now, here's the thing. The world doesn't understand English. So,
well, not all the world, right.
But a big chunk of the world doesn't understand English. They talk in a foreign language. They're not going to understand what he's saying.
That's kind of the only scene I liked when they go into drop into London and the woman says, you guys go back to your own, talking to the Irish guy, go back to your own country. And then he goes, drop dead.
Right. And she drops dead. And then they all have to, the conclusion is they all have to renounce their wishes and everything will go back to normal.
And that's not a fight at the end. Like you said, so Pascal is, or what's his name in the movie?
Maxwell Lord.
Maxwell Lord. He's in the middle, light streaming down. And all of a sudden she just starts talking.
What is that? I want to know what that is.
I think that's spewing the particles on everybody.
Oh, is that spewing?
So he's in the middle of the particles. Okay. So, and now she just takes the rope around him and you hear her basically whispering.
The magic lasso.
I thought she was talking to him. Well, that's what he thought too.
That's what he thought.
And she goes, I'm not talking to you. And everybody, like everyone's going to renounce their wishes.
I'm talking to them.
Okay. But does the world still not know that Wonder Woman exists at that point? Is she a secret?
Well, she's not a secret, but she's not well known. This is the way they're playing it. That she's not well known.
Now, do you think this director is actually going to do a third one, or do you think they're going to pull?
They've already greenlit the third one.
Well, they did that with Ryan. What's his name for Star Wars, and they pulled him pretty quick. I
think
because this is getting killed.
If you looked at Rotten Tomatoes before the movie came out, it had a pretty high score. The day the movie came out, it just lowered a little. Well, in the last 3 days, it is tanking. And if you go on YouTube, and frankly, this is why I wanted to do this. I was so disappointed. Now look, to be fair, I still think Gal Gadot is really good.
She's not the problem.
No, and I think Chris Pine is good. I think.
Well, he's out now, right? He's got to be
gone. He's going to definitely be out now. I think Patty Jenkins, who did such a great job in the first movie, just blew it. I think she's one of these people who wanted to do everything, right? Yeah. Now she wanted to write it. Now she wanted to, because she helped with the story, so she helped shape it. Like, what was the point of 1984? Now, you could say it was about unbridled capitalism, but there was no point. There was no point to having it in 19. It would have worked in any era.
I think, was that just a shtick to do the 80s shtick? I mean, like showing the parachute pants and the.
I think it was to do that mall scene. That's what I think.
Yeah, maybe. But they just drop in. There's no explanation for it. And the other thing is, Trevor comes back after being dead for 70 years, and really his reactions were, for the movie, comical, and it's like a rom-com between those two. But you can't step away from the reality of what you're supposed to be dealing with here.
Ralph, he flew a biplane, and now he can fly a jet. Nothing.
It seems
so.
Like
that's what I'm talking about.
Right.
So that's not his. That's the writer's fault. Now I'm sure there's scenes that are on the cutting room floor that might explain.
Well, they did some reshoots. So what were the reshoots?
They did. I don't know, but look, the opening scene in the mall. If you've ever seen Superman 3, Superman 1, Superman 2 are excellent movies. Richard Donner, excellent. Superman 3 was directed by Dick Lester, who did Superman 2, part of Superman 2. And the opening credits are all slapstick comedy, okay? And because Richard Pryor is in it, and it doesn't work. That's what that scene was. It was silly. Even the crooks in it were stupid, right?
Yeah.
I mean, dumb, poor. Like the guy picks up the kid, puts him over the rail,
right?
While the other two, what are you doing? It was so stupid.
Yeah, and it didn't make any sense.
No, it didn't.
And I couldn't figure out. I didn't know why she was throwing the tiara or whatever she wears and breaking. I thought she didn't want. She didn't want to be seen on camera. But they go from this Olympic thing. This what's the name of the island there? I can never remember. Who cares?
Themyscira.
Themyscira. Where don't cheat, and she's running and you dropped in 1984 for it. Just felt like for no. And Maria immediately was out of the film as soon as we hit that. And it's so funny because, you know, I mean, we stuck through it, and lucky we did, because that after credit scene kind of made it okay. And you'll talk about that, but damn. Now the DC guy, I think the
Jeff
DC right, might have had a lot to do with like everything she was doing, he was agreeing with or something, because he didn't write the first one either, right? I don't think he was right. So there's something between those two.
Well, I think they acquiesced to her because of how big a hit the first one was.
Of course, but again, she got rid of the people who made the effects in that one. She got rid of the writers who made that one, and I think she lost. I mean, really, the man bashing that was going on in this thing was just over the top. Like, I don't mind. It's, you know, yes, we should take a little bit of that because, you know,
but by the way,
because we're objectifying her. We're objectifying her because she's Wonder Woman, of course. Right. But this was
they didn't do that in the first one.
I know, but everybody that walked by her hoot and hollered. Even when they in that party they do in the Smithsonian, people were doing the same thing. To the point where Trevor, in the body of the other guy, came up and she blew him off at first, and then.
Yeah, but in fairness,
you could hear his voice.
You know, they put her in a dress with a slit all the way up to her belt.
She looked fantastic.
So, I mean, she looked amazing. But don't tell me, well, I don't want to be objectified. And
then you wouldn't. If she walked by you in a situation like that, you wouldn't whistle and howl at her.
No, I'd go like this.
Yeah, but
that's what I'd do.
Yeah, but you wouldn't go waka waka waka, lady. Look at me. No,
I'd walk up to her.
And then the other thing is all the stupid like setting up scenes, and this guy Carl walks up and says, "Oh, did I tell you I'm an intern at the White House now?" And I I turn to Maria, I go, "Okay, that's coming up later. Here we go." Sure enough.
Well, how about
sure enough, they get instantly into the White House because they knew Carl the intern.
How does he get into the White House? And they just let him go, and they let him grab the president's hands. That's what I mean. It was just so. It was so silly. Look, the other thing.
Now, is it supposed to be comic book? Are we supposed to not? It's our mistake. Maybe we're turning these comic book movies into real films.
Because the first movie didn't do that, and you've got the God of War in it. You've got the reality of World War I. I mean, some of that scene in No Man's Land when she walks across,
it's amazing. That's
a brutal scene,
right?
But it was grounded in some kind of reality. This whole movie the tone of the movie was the polar opposite of the tone of the first movie. And to me, that's
you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
That's why it does not work.
Yeah.
It really doesn't. And I don't know what they were thinking. Well, I do know what they were thinking because they delayed the release of this. And they really pumped it up to go on HBO Max. And that's not only because of COVID. I think they knew what they had on their hands.
Well, they must have.
And the people weren't going to like it. I mean, it's getting destroyed.
I also wonder if, like, I saw Tenet. I streamed Tenet, okay?
Yeah.
Did not like Tenet. Couldn't understand it. I just wonder if not having the shared environment in a movie theater takes away a little bit of what made these movies successful. Because you look at this on a regular TV, it adds to the cheese. It adds to the CGI mess because the TVs now are making everything look like soap operas, right? Unless you're watching on a big one, whatever. I just think that and you're probably right. They knew that it wasn't going to work. And they had to do something. And if they got, they just did a study between Soul and this, and how many subscribers join HBO Max versus Soul. And I think Soul is the new Pixar film.
Oh,
that's on Disney Plus.
Soul. Yeah.
And I think Disney Plus is going up. People are subscribing all over the place, and HBO Max is
because of the Mandalorian.
Maybe.
Are you kidding me?
I don't even know what that is. What is Mandalorian?
Oh my God! It's Jon Favreau.
I know what it is. I just don't care.
Oh, no! It's amazing. It's an amazing. And look at that. There's another example. So you get past the first 3 Star Wars movies that everybody loves, and you start looking at the other movies, especially the last 3. They completely. They gave the finger to the fans. They didn't care anything about the fans, and they destroyed it. And what the Mandalorian did was Jon Favreau is a Star Wars fan, and he proved it in this show. As a result of that show, they're going to do 10 other Star Wars show to show it can be. This movie is the same thing. Look, I have a 100-inch screen in my theater. You know it. Okay. It still sucked. And I could have been there in a full house in a packed cinema, and it still would have sucked. First of all, it was probably 35 to 40 minutes too long.
Definitely.
Yeah. Because you could feel it. I mean, my wife and I watched it, and Rose was like, "So, Rose, what'd you think?" She goes, and she liked the first one. Now, Now I will say that the good things I liked, like I said, Gal Gadot I liked Chris Pine, Kristen Wiig in the beginning I liked, and at the end they for the first time they do a stinger after the credits, and it was a great scene. From the back, it looks like Gal Gadot's walking. Something falls down and is going to crush a kid.
Yeah, telephone
The arm
pole
goes up, grabs a telephone pole, pushes it away, and she turns around, and it's Linda Carter looking amazing. And she ends up playing a central role. Now, it made me think of something else. So her character was an Amazonian warrior who had a gold, all the gold armor that you see in the commercials and everything is an indestructible gold armor that she used to protect the rest of the Amazonians from the male forces.
Wait a minute, that was Linda Carter's character? That's who she was? She was the woman in the suit.
Yes, she was the one that they didn't know where she went.
Right.
So, but what's funny about that, this indestructible armor, the first time
Cheetah
Gal Gadot wears it, Cheetah tears apart, so she's got to dump it.
Yeah.
So there goes that whole thing, right? But then Linda Carter does this amazing thing that she used to do in the TV show. She turned right to the camera and gave a little wink, which was a nod to the TV show. So I really liked that. That was great to see. I would have liked to see her cameo in the first one, but I thought that was good. The music was okay. Not as, I don't think it was as good as the first movie. I mean, that thumping theme of hers.
Yeah, the theme when she goes through the World War One. Is that all Hans Zimmer? Did Hans Zimmer do the first one too?
Hans Zimmer, yeah.
He did the first one. So why wouldn't they? I mean, because that theme is very iconic.
Because I don't.
They used it in Justice League too, right? I think they did. Yeah.
I can't explain it. I don't know why.
Yeah,
I don't know why they made any of the choices they made.
Yeah, a lot of odd choices. And
even
then
the costume changed. I didn't even like the costume.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, she had a sword and shield.
Right.
Oh,
right.
Well, where'd that go?
Yeah. Well, that lasso did a lot more. That lasso of truth did a lot more stuff than I thought it did.
Yeah.
You know, it could do stuff and block stuff.
In the comics, they did stuff like that, but it was just to because for one thing, it looked animated, so it didn't look,
Well, that whole scene in the desert to me looked all obviously CGI.
Well, it was. But
and then Chris Pine in the whole when they're in the White House fighting and he's doing little stupid remarks as he's fighting these people, it just felt clunky. Like it didn't feel like she had a handle on the action. I'm talking about the director.
Well, I think they made a choice with him where he was such an active participant in the first film. He was involved in everything, right?
Right.
And he was a strong character. In this one, he was like the sidekick who's going to throw out some comic lines, and that's it.
Well, that's what he did.
And other than the romance, which they made a big part of this movie, which, I didn't mind that. It just went on too long. It was just too long.
Her whole thing that I can never love again, and, and then she has to give him up, and she...
but that's supposed to
be. But that's supposed to be a tear-jerking moment. It didn't.
Yes.
It didn't come
Well, the
off
problem
that way.
is in Justice League, she's still pining for him.
You
right?
get it, Pine.
So in this movie, in this movie, it shows that she's finally gotten over it. That's why when she was talking to that guy, she had a smile on her face. She was happy.
She could love again.
That totally undermines what they did in Justice League, where she's still thinking about him.
Did Justice League? Yeah, Justice League took place after this. This is 84, right?
Yes. And
see, it's ridiculous.
Ben Affleck says something about Steve Trevor, and she throws him against the wall, all pissed off because he brought him up. So it doesn't make any sense. Look, I think what they should have done was because Wonder Woman was big in World War II, they should have done a World War II thing. Then the next one should be in present time. And I think Wonder Woman 3 is going to be in present time, especially with the reshoots. They're, the HBO Max Justice League, the Snyder cut.
Right.
They're gonna change everything. So maybe it'll go attached to that somehow. But I'm telling you, I'm glad I watched this on HBO Max because I would have been pissed if I paid money to see this movie.
Well, you're paying money to see it. You're just not.
Well, but I get it. Right.
You didn't have to shell out $15.
I don't have to pay anything extra.
Right.
So,
and then let's talk about it. So after everything goes down, Max Lord walks out onto the White House lawn, and there's debris everywhere. Alistair comes out of the woods somehow. Don't know how that happens, and it ends with him hugging him. And there's no. What happened? Did he get busted? Did he? Some guy has a cow farm or something. They were saying it's one of the wishes by the Watergate Hotel was a cow farm.
Everything that happened, all the destruction, didn't disappear because people renounced their wishes.
Right.
So all that stuff was
still there. So I mean, and then it's Christmas time and everything's groovy again, and kids, what were they doing?
Snowballs.
Snowballs.
Right.
And that's when she meets the guy.
That's right.
That she banged.
And
basically.
one of those little kids was her kid, by the way.
Oh, that's exciting. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
well,
so
when
charming.
they looked at each other, he looked at her like she's kind of cute, and she looked at him like, I banged that.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now that would be weird, right? I mean, you know,
I can
in
tell
any other film that would be weird.
If it was reversed, yeah, it would have been a big deal.
Anyway, okay, so is this cue it up or cue it down?
Well, I think I can only speak for myself, but it's definitely a cue it down.
Yeah,
I was very disappointed.
Definitely,
and I was looking forward to this. I really was. Bad choices, bad writing. I think some bad acting too. Kristen Wiig trying to go sexy did not work for me at all.
It's tough. It's tough. You
Pedro
know,
Pascal was over the top.
And you're right. You got Michelle Pfeiffer on the brain when you see that because she just pulls it off.
She did it better. I mean, it was better done in
right.
Batman Returns than this movie.
Right. And they just couldn't do it. And
no.
And is Kristen Wiig coming back? Because she didn't renounce her wish, if you noticed.
Well, at the end, she was normal.
But she didn't renounce her wish. We didn't hear her say it. Is Cheetah a big comic book character?
Yes. But here's the thing. That only worked if everybody renounced their wishes.
Okay.
So she had to have renounced her wish.
Okay, maybe. Okay.
But it doesn't even make any sense how she became the cheetah. She said, I want to be a
apex predator.
Apex predator. Yeah. That turned her in the cheetah.
Cheetahs are an apex predator.
Yeah. And that fight scene.
I was looking for the,
in the dark.
Yeah. It looked like Cats, like that movie Cats.
It was awful.
Where's their
It was awful.
Hole?
The CGI was. That was awful. You know?
Yeah. Let's just say
was over.
I mean,
like that.
I feel bad. You know, this woman, Patty, the director, probably feeling her oats after the first one. What else has she directed? Anything? I know there's a couple of things that she's.
Wait a minute.
But again, it gets back to bad writing. And somebody has to look at it and go, come on. It's obvious that Alistair's popping up every 5 minutes. You're trying to make this guy into a decent father, even though he's the bad guy.
Well, I'd like to know.
And every guy was a dick. Every guy except Steve Trevor.
I'd like to know what they cut out and what reshoots they did.
Yeah.
Because they are obviously made the choice that this was going to be a comic movie as opposed to a comic book movie with a touch of reality to it, like I think the first one had. There's still fantasy elements, but it was grounded. I mean, you don't get more grounded in reality than World War I.
Right.
This movie had no reality at all, and it just lost me almost immediately. I didn't hate the first scene. Like everyone says how much they hated that scene. I didn't hate it as much as everyone else. I just thought, like, I'm sure Robin Wright and Leanna
Kristen Nielsen or
Corinna Nielsen. Oh, whatever.
No, she's from the 80s. The 80s.
Yeah. But I think they probably were contractually obligated to be in the second one. That could be a reason why they did that scene.
Connie Nielsen.
The whole point of the scene was don't cheat, be honest. Right. Don't take shortcuts. And it's like you could have done that, a conversation between Robin Wright and her instead of that big brouhaha. So, but I didn't hate it as much as everyone else did.
Well, it's getting killed. I mean, if you go on YouTube, it's getting. It
was
butchered.
worse than Justice League. And let me tell you something. That is a very low bar.
Yeah.
So very disappointed. I hope they learn their lesson. Frankly, I'd like to see someone else take the third one and go a different route or something, like they did with Thor. I don't know if you saw Thor Ragnarok.
I did.
Excellent. And it's Ty Wakindi.
Yeah.
I think that's his name. He took it in a very boring character, took it in a completely different direction, and it worked.
Well, also Fat Thor in the Guardians was funny too.
Well, no, that was in Avengers. That wasn't in Guardians. He ended up in Guardians.
Oh, right. Okay, right.
He's going to be in the Guardians.
I get them all mixed up.
He's going to be in Guardians 3 as the Fat Thor.
I like Fat Thor. He was funny.
Yeah, well, I like what they did with him, but like this, it's like, here's my thinking. You create this first movie that everybody says is probably the best DC movie that's been made, right? So you say, you know what I'm going to do for the sequel? I'm going to take everything that made that movie good,
throw it away,
and not do any of it, and go this completely different way. And you think that people are just going to say, oh, yeah, I love this new vision. And that's not why they liked the first one.
No. And do you think that Warner Brothers really knew they had a turd and they go, we're just going to put this on streaming? Did they know it?
I do.
Yeah.
I do think that. because I don't think, how could anybody with any brain look at this movie and think this is going to be a blockbuster?
I don't think you can.
Especially if you compare it to the Marvel universe with how they do their movies. If you put them side by side, any of them.
But think about what streaming movie. I can't think of a streaming movie right now through this COVID thing that's been the biggest success. I think Soul might be that one. The Soul is getting Soul's getting some heat.
Mulan did awful, but Mulan was $30 a head. If you want to watch it.
Right. I paid for, what did I pay for? Oh, Bill and Ted.
Yeah, what'd you pay for that? Yeah, $20.
But
Fat Man was $6.
That was well worth it.
Yeah. So
that was worth the money.
Soul will be a big hit. And again, the series, The Mandalorian, big hit streaming.
You know, Fat Man would have worked in a movie theater too, though. Fat Man's a good film. That is not
but would people have gone to the movie theater to see it?
I think so.
I don't know about that. I'm glad because I liked it.
Yeah, it was great.
A lot of people didn't like it. Yeah. I think they knew they had a turd. And I'm curious to your first question that you asked, will Patty Jenkins get to do the third one? I don't know, man.
Well, after what they did to that Ryan, what was the Ryan guy who screwed up Star Wars?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Rion or whatever his name is. They said he's doing all three, and they said after what he did to I forget the film he changed. He did
the first one, didn't he?
Yeah, and they said okay, he's now doing the Knives Out stuff.
Yeah,
because
did he direct the first one? Rian Johnson, isn't that his name?
Rian Johnson.
Yeah.
They said he was going to do all three, and then now once they realized that he effed with them a little bit, he was doing he made Luke Skywalker kind of a dick or something, right? Didn't he? He did something, and they dumped him quick. I got to believe they're going to look now. Based on money, who knows how much money this thing's going to make? I don't know how you judge it when you're doing a streaming service. How you can figure out, unless it's just subscriptions added since the movie
internationally, came out. It made like $17 million, and it was
that's tank. That's a tank.
Yeah, because the first one did $35 million.
Yeah,
the opening weekend.
Internationally, it did $35 million.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
On initial release.
Yeah.
I mean, the movie made over $1 billion.
Jesus.
Total. Yeah. But it was a $200 million movie. I don't think they're making that back.
I don't think so.
So I don't know what's going to happen. It's too bad because like I said, I really like her. I think she's good in it. Again, limited acting range, but
I could. It's hard to tell what she's saying, and her tone's all the same.
Accent.
The tones, I know,
that
but it's
scene
the same.
At the end where she's sitting in the corner making that impassioned plea. It was like monotone, and it was like.
Now, Alistair was great. That kid could emote.
Yeah.
And he emoted all day long. That's like the kid would always pop. His head would pop.
I know.
My God.
I know. It was
terrible.
It just
terrible,
was not
terrible.
a good movie.
Cue it down.
So here's what we're gonna do. So every now and then we're gonna do these. It's a little bit shorter.
Not really, but okay.
Well, no, it is. I think it's this like 40 minutes we did.
Okay.
So as new movies come out, we'll do this once in a while, and we'll still keep doing the genre stuff and some of the what I think is interesting.
No more personal family stuff anymore.
Well, because nobody cares. We can't get past 25 views because no one's subscribing, nobody's sharing, nobody's hitting the notification.
Nobody wants to hear our stuff, our family crises.
I'm hoping that this review will get to more people, because they don't have to watch all this other stuff. So we'll see what happens. If it does well, we'll do more of these.
I mean, what I could do, because you're better at reviewing, we could do like I'm responding to your review. We could do me watching your review on these. Put me in a little box while you're reviewing. Because, I can't articulate as well as you when it comes to these movies.
Yes, you can.
I just know what I like and don't like.
Yeah, well, this was one I did not like. I'm with you on this one. Yeah,
not good.
So that's it. I would stay away from this movie. Definitely don't subscribe to HBO Max just to watch it.
No, if you already have HBO Max, you might as well watch it so you have something to hate watch. But
but don't blame me after you watch it.
So we're saying cue it down.
Cue it down,
right?
Definitely. So wait till it comes out for free when they give it away with a free haircut or something.
Exactly.
All right. Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for tonight. Ralph, by the time this lands, it'll be New Year's
2021.
So I cannot wait to put 2020 behind us.
I know, it's terrible.
And I'm looking forward to 2021.
Right.
And Cue It Up in 2021 is going to be huge.
We're going to have numbers in the red. Look at us both wearing red. I think we're trying to do something here.
Very appropriate. Right. Okay.
So,
all right. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year,
all of you. And we're looking forward to 2021. Have a good night.
Goodbye 2020. Hello 2021.